The 18 Strong Podcast, episode number 94, with Coach Kaitlyn Sharpless.
We need strength on top of flexibility so we can actually use that range of motion. And they're like, oh.
Welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast, where you get direct access to the world's greatest experts on training harder, practicing smarter, and playing better golf. Now, here's your host, Jeff Pellizzaro.
Welcome to this week's episode of the 18 Strong Podcast. I thank you for joining me. We've got an incredible guest that has become a very good friend and has really become a big part of 18 Strong and some of the content that we put out, Coach Kaitlyn Sharpless from up in Boston, Massachusetts. And we're going to talk today about the importance of not only being flexible and being fit for golf, but the importance of being strong, being happy in your training, in your golf, and simply the fact that golfers are athletes and we need to train our bodies as we are an athlete. You know, move better, be stronger, so you can hit a ball farther and you can play much better rounds of golf. Hopefully you had a chance to listen to last week's episode number 93, where we talked about, being on vacation. It's summertime, and, the strategies and tips and tricks that you can use while you're on a trip, a golf trip, or simply a family vacation to really kind of stay on track and continue to meet your goals, even though, your whole schedule is going to be thrown off. And, we all like to live it up a little bit while we're on vacation. I share with you just a couple tricks that I implemented, and also some areas where I didn't do so well, and what I would change if I were to go back to the vacation that we had, which was incredible at Table Rock Lake. And we went down and saw the Top of the Rock golf course, Legends of Golf, all that, played at a great course called Buffalo Ridge. So if you miss episode number 93, definitely go back and check that out, where you can get some of those tips and tricks and really kind of help push along your fitness goals, your life and health goals, even though you're going on your vacation trip or golf trip with your buddies. It seems like there's kind of a constant battle or argument going on in the world of golf and fitness and sports, and many times the question of, are golfers really athletes? That comes up a lot. And so today in our episode, Kaitlyn's going to give us some ideas as to why she definitively says, yes, golfers are athletes. You are a human being. You are an athlete, which I think is a very valid question to ask. Golf's a sport where you can drink, you can smoke, you can walk slow, you can ride in a golf cart. So, it does kind of beg the question, what's the physicality and what's the nature of this? And why is this whole quote-unquote golf fitness thing, you'll hear a lot of those quotes in there, why has this become such a phenomenon? We had the U.S. Open just recently, and obviously Dustin Johnson won, super athlete, guy's in very good shape. And then you have Shane Lowry, who came in second. And I just read an article, I think it was in maybe Golf Digest or something, where a newspaper or magazine over in Ireland was kind of bashing Shane Lowry a little bit for his fitness level. And it was cool to see a lot of the different comments from people kind of along the lines of, hey, first of all, you don't know how hard this guy's working in the gym, because we've had the professionals on that he works with, and Shane Lowry works his tail off. But the fact that you don't have to look a certain way, you don't have to, have a certain physique to be a phenomenal golfer, and that's never going to change, I don't think. But obviously there's a shift towards more of the athleticism and the training side, and so these are questions and comments that are going to be coming up. Shane did a phenomenal job last week, just kind of lost it a little bit at the end, but it just wasn't his week, and it was Dustin Johnson's time, I think, in many respects. So yes, the super athlete won. The guy that doesn't look like the super athlete did not. But is that really the determining factor there? Who knows? It could be, could not be. But I think it's definitely a conversation that is worth having. So we'll touch just a little bit on the athleticism of the world of golf, as well as many, many other topics. So I want to give you guys a little bit of background on our featured guest today. Kaitlyn's a PGA certified golf and strength conditioning coach located in Boston. She's the founder of Felix Fortis Golf and operates out of Belmont Country Club and Iron Body Studios. Her passion is to help golfers build their team and bridge the gap between their movement patterns and swing capabilities. Kaitlyn's a firm believer that anything is possible when you train strong, you move well, and you're a happy athlete. And If you don't know, Kaitlyn's also one of our featured coaches here for 18 Strong. So if you haven't seen any of her videos, you got to head over to our 18 Strong YouTube account and check out all the videos. There's a plethora of them, of Kaitlyn showing us all kinds of good tips, exercises, and drills. So Coach Sharpless, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I am very excited.
You bet. As I said, this is long overdue. We've been featuring you on 18 Strong for a while now. And
Yes.
now we got to get you on the airwaves because I know you are dabbling in possibly the podcast endeavor pretty soon, right?
Yes. Bring it on.
So get your feet wet a little bit here on the 18 Strong podcast.
Well,
right.
I appreciate it.
You bet. I have to ask you a question I like to ask everybody getting started. Is there a person or an experience or something that has really kind of influenced your life's path that you could share with us?
Yes. It's interesting. I've been thinking about this week because I grew up, my grandparents raised me. So my grandfather's actually the one that introduced me to this crazy game of golf that we love to play. And what's funny is that he started his own business, and I've been around an independent entrepreneur my whole entire life. And I didn't even realize, like, that's probably where I get my passion to go, just kind of go off and follow mine and don't turn back, like no fear, basically. And I think he's the one that kind of got me into all this, like golf, and saying, hey, if you really like something, go ahead and do your own thing. So I think that he's the one.
Awesome. What's a great story that you have of you and your grandpa maybe playing golf, or a lesson that you learned from him out on the course?
So this is kind of a funny one, but I remember we used to play in tournaments a lot, and we'd be that like father-daughter like twosome that would match all the time. And so there was this particular one where we decided to wear like bright orange. I don't know why. It was like not a great combo for this particular tournament, because we were on the last hole and we were tied for the lead, and my grandfather literally went to take a chip and he chipped backwards, and I was like, oh, Pap, like that was the winning shot. So, and that's what I called him, Pap. But it made me realize, like, it's okay. We still ended up winning because, we just had to pull our heads together and be like, okay, forget about the bad stuff. Just continue to pull through and stay strong. But that was a pretty cool lesson because I was really young and very emotional player, kind of a head case. So it made me kind of buckle down and still get the job done and laugh at the same time. So that was definitely one of the most memorable moments on the course, that's for sure.
Well, knowing your personality and just, the enjoyment that you bring to the game, it seems like you've really taken that and moved forward and, brought about the life of the enjoyment part of the game, as well as, I'm sure, and we'll get into your competitive side in a little bit here too, but it seems like that's kind of one of the big mantras that I consistently see you relaying to your clients, relaying through your videos, relaying through your content, is not just the technical aspect of the game or the technical aspect of the training side, but also the fun side. And I know that kind of even steered your business. So tell us a little bit. Felix Fortis Golf, what does that mean?
Yes. Felix Fortis is happy and strong in Latin. It was supposed to be in Spanish, but someone out there has already coined that. So kudos to you. Good name. So I come from a Cuban background, so I wanted to kind of stay true to those roots. So I try to incorporate a little, like, just something like a different flair, because I'm different. So I take pride in that. And I don't know, I really, those two words came to mind when I was, wanted to branch off and really follow my golf niche in the strength and conditioning world. And I was like, what makes me me? Like, and at the time, like, I was training extremely strong, and I found that I was very happy. And I'm like, okay, being strong makes me happy. So I was like, I think those are two things that golfers and every human being needs in their life, is happiness and strength. So that's where I got the name.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit
Yes.
about your college golf career, because I know you had some ups and downs physically there, and that also kind of helped develop a little bit of your path here. So where did you play, and what level was it, and what experiences did you have?
Right. Great question. So I played for Methodist University. It's not Southern Methodist. This is, I always get that question. So if you're thinking that as you're, no, it's in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I originally went into Methodist as a freshman, obviously, but thinking I wanted to be a part of the Professional Golf Association, or the PGM, Professional Golf Management Program. I hate acronyms, so that's what that means. And so I, loved golf in high school, wanted to take it to the next level in college, got to college. They are a D3 team, or the golf program. However, pretty darn lucky because they were going into their 15 straight national championship when I got there.
Wow.
So that was a huge goal for me, was saying, okay, I want to play on this team. These girls are really awesome, and I want to be like them, because I was a big fish in a little pond on Cape Cod, Mass, going into a national championship team, and I was kind of like, whoa, this is definitely a different game. So I started practicing a lot, playing a ton, taking, a lot of lessons, and I ran into a serious low back injury that my freshman year I just kind of dealt with it. Not too many people at the time were very vocal about their injuries because they were in fear, and this had nothing to do with the coach, because Vicky Pate is amazing, and she's one of the strongest women that had a big influence on me when I was in college. However, I think people were very tentative to say, hey, I have a shoulder issue, because it wasn't normal for a golfer, quote unquote, people can't see I'm using the quotations with my fingers, that golfers are athletes and they belong in the training room, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So we just kind of kept it to ourselves and just dealt with it. Some did go to the trainer's room, some did not, but the ones that did go to the trainer's room, they, athletic trainers, I mean to say, it was kind of like a big deal. It wasn't just, oh, she had to go get her knee looked at. It was like, oh, she had to go get her knee looked at. What? It doesn't make any sense. Obviously now I think differently, but
how long
that's
ago
how
was
it was.
This? What year was this?
I went to 2008. So I graduated in 2012. So
do you find that mentality has changed a little bit? And because I know you work with some collegiate athletes and you're around different universities, do you feel like that's changing in that level, or is it still a little bit that way?
Still a little bit, but not compared to what it was. I mean, I worked with Winchester High School a lot a couple years back at Boyles, and their mentality, literally had to take a group of high school boys and turn them into athletes, actual machines. Some of them played other sports, so they had that great athletic mentality where they were like, nope, this is just what we do. And some of them had the mentality of, I don't want to get too bulky because I'm going to lose rotation. I'm hitting my head no. Yeah. That's not what we want to think. However, I take a school like Brown University. My fiance is Michael Pimentel is the strength coach there. He doesn't have the golf team, but I know the coach pretty well, and was pretty honored to be able to work with them a little bit in the weight room. And the women's and the men's team, they went from kind of being a little tentative to really buying into it, and the men have seen a huge difference, and the women love it. So it's really cool. I think because of all the great content that the Charlie Weingroffs of the world, the Don Saladinos, Milo Bryant, yourself, everyone that's putting out solid strength and conditioning, not golf fitness, quote unquote. I hate that term.
A lot of air quotes in this episode.
Yes, a lot of air quotes. I think it gives golf a weird golf fitness or golf strength a weird name. Like golf strength and conditioning, really, like to me that means just basic strength movements, basic strength that everyone needs, and that helps us play better golf. And not like it's we have not just rotation and stretching. Like, no, we need to actually be strong and be able to use that range of motion.
So
that makes sense.
When did that philosophy, when did you kind of have your aha moment that, oh man, you know, it sounds like you had an injury and then now you're into the strength conditioning world. Was there a moment when you're like, oh man, this is what I need to do. This is what's working.
Right. It was my sophomore year, end of sophomore year. One of my teammates put me through a Titleist Performance Institute screening, TPI, and I was like, whoa, this is, after a couple of months, I was like, this is awesome. I don't have pain, because I had a really big issue with loading up in my golf swing and then firing my hips at the target, because that would cause a lot of, I had very little hip mobility and very little thoracic mobility. So I couldn't rotate and I couldn't move my hips. So that's a big issue for us.
Yeah.
So when I did, it caused a lot of issues. So once I started to be able to rotate more, pound the golf ball again without pain, and taking Advil and going to all these chiropractor appointments, massage therapy, the whole 9 yards. By the way, everyone was on different pages, which leads me to my aha moment. I then realized, oh wow, there's something to this stuff. I got to start working out more. And then I found out, I go, how can I get TPI certified? So here I am, like sophomore year, I went through the TPI level 1, fell in love. And as soon as every time, you know how they give like breaks? Well, for people that have never been to a TPI seminar, they have breaks for lunch or every couple of minutes. So I would keep running up to talk to Dr. Greg Rose and Dave Phillips. Like, so how do I intern for you guys? Like, what do I have to do to be one of you? Because I looked at them on that stage and I was like, you guys, I understand what you're saying. I mean, at the time I didn't really understand any of the sciencey part because I hadn't studied it yet, but like the whys behind, you know, certain rep ranges and all that stuff. But I understood pain, I understood body mechanics, and I understood what it did for me, and I wanted to help other people. Then I had that aha moment, and I never turned back. Like I finished out my business degree. I kept taking, you know, FMS courses and went on to level 2 fitness, level 2 junior and KVS during my college, you know, career. But I never turned back. Like, I'm thankful for the business degree, but I started taking some exercise science courses, hoping to minor. I was a couple credits short, ran out of time. But I think that was sophomore year was my big like light bulb moment.
And then how did you get the opportunity to go and train at Mike Boyle's place? And for the listeners, Mike Boyle is one of the top strength and conditioning guys in the world, one of the most successful, but also just we've both seen, or I've seen him speak. Many of the fitness pros that are probably listening have seen Mike Boyle speak and have seen his stuff. And he's just kind of a no BS kind of a guy, but he's always very much into the research. And, you know, if he finds that something he was doing wrong previously, he's the first one to say, hey, I was doing this a year ago. That was wrong. This is what I've learned. This is what the research says. So I would imagine working with somebody like that and just that whole crew was probably an amazing experience.
Yes. Friends of a lifetime, most definitely. And I give a lot of like knowledge and success and just trying to keep things simple, because I get what it's like to not understand any of this. I get what it's like to sit in an exercise science class and be like, I know I have pain, I know body mechanics, but I don't understand the why behind what happened, like what changes happened. So that's what I really like about Coach Boyle, is that he takes really crazy theories or you know, very intense things to digest, and he simplifies it for people to understand. And I have to remember who I'm trying to help. It's great if you can use the big fancy words, but to be honest, if Joe Schmo off the street can't understand you, you probably don't understand it yourself. So it's really cool to break things down for people, say it a million different ways. So it's not just black and white. Like you can really try to own in that for that particular athlete or that person and say, no, this is why we're doing this. Because if people know the why, they'll buy into you better. So working at a place like that, that really opened up my eyes and, gave me a great foundation to go off and really own in on my niche. Because I knew I wanted to work with golfers, and I knew I wanted to still be in my industry, just in a different way. So that was absolutely amazing. So I do give a huge thank you to, like Kevin Carr and Brendan Rearick, who really took the time with me and answered all my annoying questions and still do to this day. And were really patient with me, because I look back on my experiences there, and I wouldn't be the coach that I am today without, them and people like Milo Bryant that, I talk to, at least once a week, like, hey, what do you think about this? Or, people really great friends to have, and like yourself, that you can bounce ideas off of and say, just like Coach Boyle does, if something comes out that maybe contradicts what we're doing today, but, to be a really successful person, I feel like you have to adapt with what's going on. So if something is coming along that's better for an athlete, well, then you just have to adapt and try it out. You can't really stay the same.
Yeah, that's such a great point. I just heard somebody say the other day, about changing your views on something, and the person they were interviewing was actually it was Tony Robbins, and he said, I don't consider it changing my views or changing my position. I consider it adapting.
Exactly.
Everything we do is we learn, we pivot, we change our strategies based on what we know. You only know so much in the present moment, and once you learn something new, that it's not to say that you were wrong or your intent was wrong. But now we've got a better way to do it, and I love that. Just to kind of change gears a little bit, I know you work with a lot of different levels of golfers. You work at the country club. What are some of the misconceptions that you're still running into when you work with, let's say, kind of your recreational golfer, the person that wants to, they know they want to kind of work on their fitness, but they're not a collegiate level player. They're more the weekend player. They get out to practice. What are some of the misconceptions that you run into regarding, the physicality of golf and what you're doing with maybe what they were anticipating or what they've been doing?
It's a very interesting question. So I literally, Frank Nash, awesome guy. He's one of the guys that really has helped me brand who I am and helps me kind of like just put my personality in everything I do. So huge thank you to him. But he invited me to go speak at his facility, which I haven't been to. It's super awesome, to all his golfers, because there's a big golf clientele there. So I went to go speak, and we actually covered all the misconceptions that, air quote again, golf fitness has to offer. And that, that's something that's floating around. So I think for the people that I work with, this comes up in a lot of screenings and first phone call conversations with people, Jeff, is that people really think that they need to just work on rotation, and they just need to work on flexibility, and that's it. And core, can't forget the core. Yeah. Okay. So core, flexibility, and rotation. And I say, okay, yes, you are absolutely right. We do need all those things. However, we need strength on top of flexibility so we can actually use that range of motion. And they're like, oh, right. And that's where I talk about yoga a lot, because, I don't want to get too far on a tangent, but I think I just started taking yoga, so I'm like, what's all this about? I want to try it. And it's kind of cool because you see a lot of the carryover, and, I wanted to test out like the deep belly breathing with like meditation. Like how do all of these worlds kind of blend together? And I found that a lot of these range of motion like that we're working on is great, but not a lot of people have the strength to actually use that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like they can't put a weight in their hand and drop to full depth. Like they're not doing that. They don't have the strength to get back up. So that's what I try to explain to people. And I say, if you don't have zip behind that rotation, you might as well kiss out driving your friends goodbye. And if you don't have a strong core, you're probably not going to be very coordinated because, our core is the weak link between our lower and upper body. But it's very interesting, like to see, those misconceptions. And also, I don't know if I answered your question, but also a lot of people still cannot get over the no booze during the round, like trying to get them to, yes, we have strength coaches, we have like, the strength portion, but there's also helping them with nutrition as well, like really owning in on that. And they're like, well, we've always done it this way. Like I've always drank during my round. And I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to ruin your time out there, but if you're competitive and you want, like I have people that, are trying to qualify for the Mass Am and they're changing the way they think because they realize, oh, if I eat things that make me inflamed or that alter my mentality, that's going to have a huge effect on my score. And I know a lot of people probably are listening saying, oh crap, that's me. Mm-hmm. So, you just got to, think about the whole picture. You have your tissue quality. So, are you always tight? Are you taking care of yourself when you're traveling? Are you foam rolling? Are you rolling out the bottoms of your feet? Are you working hard in the gym with a balanced program? And are you eating correctly? Like if you're doing all those things, you can really do a lot. And a lot of also one thing that I also found is a lot of people think taking Tylenol every time they play golf is the norm.
Yeah.
Like I'll be fine. I just pop a couple Advil. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think that's normal.
Because you had some experience with that when you were having your back pain, didn't you?
Yes. Oh gosh, yeah. Like the doctor, my general practitioner, prescribed me like I don't know what it was. It wasn't like I refused to take painkillers, but it was pretty close to that. And when it got to that point, I was like, not doing that, not going that route.
Yeah, there's so many things that can happen with, just the stomach and
exactly.
It reduces your discomfort for the time being, but there's other repercussions that we don't see until you're having that gut pain where you have to call your doctor and say, hey, now this hurts. What do I got to do about that?
Right.
And at that point, it's usually probably a little too late to
my intestine is completely stripped. What do I do?
Exactly.
And you know what too? I don't know if you find this, Jeff, as well, but do you think that people that you help feel like their strength and conditioning program should mimic the golf swing? Like it has to look quote unquote golfish, as Charlie Weingroff likes to say, and I really like that term because that's another thing. Like, no, the only thing that you're gonna do that looks similar to the golf swing is maybe a cable chop. Right. And maybe a med ball side toss. That's it. Trying to get over that hurdle is sometimes a challenge.
Yeah, that's a good point because I find that a lot. And so many of my clients, especially the ones that I've had for a long time, and much like Mike Boyle, there was a time when I did a lot of that stuff years ago, and now I realized that was not the most efficient, and it makes the golfer feel like they're doing something for their golf game, which I totally understand that. And so if you feel like, hey, this is like the position of my golf swing, and this is kind of the movement, but it's not. I mean, you're swinging a relatively light club at 80, 90, 100, 110 miles an hour. You can't really mimic that with a resisted cable. I mean, it's just impossible. The forces of physics are way different with a golf club as they are with the cable or the bands or those type of things. So I think it's definitely been overdone. I think there's certain things that we can do that, to make the golfer feel that too, and give them some positions and help them with certain balance and stuff like that. But I think your point of keeping it on the simple side, and our bodies have movements, have ranges of motion that are, generally the same for all of us, for the most part. If we make ourselves stronger, faster, more stable where we need to be, more mobile where we need to be, that happens from good, solid, basic principles. And people can go back and listen to the episode with Charlie Weingroff because
good one, great one.
It was a great one where he talked about, the body improves by being under stressful situations, learning to adapt, and then stressing it again. But it doesn't mean that you have to make your exercise program look like your golf game. And so
absolutely not.
I think that's a great point. Something else that I wanted to touch base with you on is, you mentioned the fact that you took a group of young boys and basically turned them into athletes. And I've heard you say many times over, golfers are athletes.
Yes.
That's always a debate. Are golfers athletes? Are race car drivers athletes? Yada, yada, yada. But I know that you have a lot to say about the athleticism of not just golfers, but humans as a whole.
Yes. And I remember a conversation with Milo Bryan a couple weeks back, and he made this actually fuels the fire. So if golf is the most strenuous thing that you do in your day, there's an issue. One. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's a really great point. However, when you think about, now think about it that way. So if I say to a client, okay, golf should not be the most strenuous thing that you do to your body on a daily basis or a couple times a week. And they go, okay, well then what do I have to do? I go, okay, in order to play golf, play to a level that makes you happy, meaning that you can hit it farther, that you can play without pain and popping a bunch of Advil, that you can feel like you have enough energy to get through a round without kind of getting to that 16th hole thinking, oh my gosh, when is this round going to be over? I'm so tired and dehydrated. Like, I want to help create a better way for golfers to train themselves so they can avoid those pitfalls, because I get what it's like to be in them. I used to eat sugary snacks on the course. I didn't know the why behind doing strength movements. So going back to your point about, what's another pitfall I find golfers find themselves in is that if they don't understand the why, and I keep saying that because I read, start with the why. If they don't understand the why behind every single movement they're doing, I mean, some aren't going to care, but the thing is, if they know why, they're going to appreciate it and they're going to try harder. And I think they're really going to say, hey, so I have to actually train to play golf. Oh wait, what do footballs do? What do football players do? They train to play football. They train to avoid injury. There's no difference in my mind whatsoever. We are an explosive sport. You put 8 times your body weight on your spine, and I'm taking that figure from the National Spine Association. That might be a couple of years old there, but something around that area. If it's changed, I'm sorry, and I will update my information. But but when you just think about the spinal compression you're putting on your body, and you're going to tell me you're not an athlete and you need to be able to avoid that, it's a one-sided sport. You're going to have asymmetries, and asymmetries lead to injury. So we need to fix those things. So that usually does the trick with people when they try to say, well, I'm not an athlete. I'm 50 years old and I'm 60. I used to be an athlete. Well, nothing's changed, my friends. Nothing has changed. You're just older. And you know what? I think the older you get as an athlete, the older you get and you play golf or any other sport, you should be training just as hard and your workout should be just as important because listen, if you want to be able to pick up your grandkids and walk down the street and take care of yourself without having someone to do it for you, that's important.
Yeah, I love
because,
that. I love that because, we tend to, some of this can really seem a little daunting to people, especially those that don't have a background in working out and they're thinking, oh, do I really need to go to a collegiate gym and start training? The answer is no. So what do you say, or what would one or two suggestions be for somebody who's maybe a little intimidated by some of this stuff and isn't quite ready to totally jump into going and getting screened and starting a full-blown program? What's maybe one or two simple things that they could do starting today, starting tomorrow, to just kind of jumpstart and give them maybe a kind of a quick win as far as feeling better or seeing a little bit of a result that may benefit their game?
Okay, I would say this because we're talking to a lot of people right now, so I don't want to have go say, okay, go put a mini band around your knees and start squatting properly, because if someone literally just blew out their knee yesterday, they're like, okay, Kaitlyn said to do this. So
yeah, there's an asterisk here. There's
yes.
This is not medical advice. Consult your lawyer and doctor.
Yes, I've signed that waiver, right?
Yeah. No, just kind of generalities as far as what's something that they could kind of take away from today.
So I would say this: if you wake up in the morning and you feel stiff or you have pain, or if you feel that you have to play golf and take Tylenol, just think about this. It's really intimidating going into a gym because if you don't know what you're doing, you're around people that are really fit. Maybe you're not the most fit person in the world going in there. Maybe you don't even know what a program is. Or maybe you don't trust the person behind the counter because you think they're just trying to sell you something and they don't really care about you and you're just a number. That all may be true. I don't know. But there's the kicker. Find someone that you trust, okay? Because you can go try to do this on your own. And, that's why if you choose to do this on your own, you have great people to follow and read about, and you can pull little things here and there that apply to you. But I'm telling you right now, if you feel like you're waking up with pain, or even if you're not, just owning basic movement patterns is the most important thing you could ever do. Not only for a golf game, but just to move until you're 80, 90, 100 years old and do it on your own. Because let me tell you something, my grandparents, they're 78 years old, and I wish I took more time with them, as when I was younger and I was around them more to really help them with their movement patterns, because now they're trying to, it's very tough for me to go find someone for them to go to because they are in the same mentality where I'm too old.
Yeah.
I only play once on the weekends. Doesn't matter. Slowly they're buying into this where, hey, Pap, you want to walk 18 holes without having to take Advil or Tylenol or space out your rounds so you're not really sore just from playing golf. These are things that we really need to be thinking about. And, if that's the case, go on a TPI website, type in, find a educator or reach out to Jeff or myself or, people that are leaders in this industry like Dawn and Milo, wherever you're in your area, say, hey, who do you recommend? Or, you have lots of great people to follow. So maybe it's not in your budget to go hire one-on-one training. I totally get that. But, at least follow great people, read what they have to say, and really just start to think of yourself as an athlete. But so that's the strength side. But the nutrition side is drink more water. Really think about taking some fish oil to help with your joints. And this is just my opinion. So this is what I have all my athletes and, general population do. I have them take a fish oil, do some form of a probiotic, and they're taking, they're making sure they're getting a meal in after their workouts, or they're making sure they're drinking a lot of water. If you need some kind of reference, half your body weight in ounces is a great start. If you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to live in the bathroom, well, then just do what you can, because you're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy, and you're going to be making better decisions out on the golf course, if that all makes sense. Sorry for the long answer.
No, that's cool. And you mentioned it before, but this is all about way more than golf too. When you're talking about your PAP, it's not just, hey, this will help you play better, this will help you swing better, this will help you walk your 18 holes, but hey, this will let you go up a flight of steps. This will let you, like you said, pick up your grandkids. Or, if you're a guy that works at a desk all day, this is going to make you feel better, throughout the day, or give you some ability to kind of counteract all the terrible postural things that you're going through on a daily basis. So yeah, it's going to help you swing better, it's going to help you move better, but it's going to help you, play with your kids better. Or, if you're coaching a baseball team, it's everything. It's about so many different things. And Kaitlyn and I have talked several times about how we hate the term golf fitness, and we're going to try to come up with something new.
Yeah, we're still working on it, guys.
Still working on it. Something that ties in the strength, the movement, the golf, but it's just because we do think that sometimes that gets a little too golfish.
Yeah.
But
totally.
Anyway, that's for another time. We'll get back to you on that one. All right, Kaitlyn, I have a few final questions for you. First and foremost, I think you've heard this one before. Caddyshack or Happy Gilmore?
Definitely Happy Gilmore. Oh yeah, humor all the way.
I had a feeling there. All right, if you could walk 18 holes with anyone in the world, doesn't have to be golf related, who would it be? And I'm also going to tack on, what course would it be?
Oh, interessante. Okay, so I've been really into Gary Vaynerchuk's stuff lately. I think he's very very dynamic. It really puts his personality out there, and he's really smart. So I'd like to walk with him. And I know this next guy is in the industry, but Tom Plummer, he puts a lot of great stuff out there. Yeah. So I just picking the two brains that would be absolutely amazing. And where would we play? Oh man, where would I play? I want to play Pinehurst number 2. Something I didn't take advantage of in college. So Gary and Tom, let's go do it.
I love it. Those would be two very interesting rounds of golf.
Very interesting.
I don't know that Gary V would ever have 4 hours to go play a round of golf, though.
I don't know. We'd have to work something special out.
All right, so we recently just released our book, The Golfer's Guide to a Bogey-Proof Workout, and we've started really utilizing the term bogey-proof.
Yes.
When you hear the term bogey-proof, what does that conjure up for you?
That means you're one strong-minded. You know what? I think it means to me that you're unstoppable. Like, you're strong mentally, physically, emotionally. Yeah, that's what that means to me.
Cool. All right, what's your mission moving forward, both in 2016 and then just as Felix Fortis Golf grows and the rock star of Kaitlyn Sharpless just continues to build?
Well, my mission is kind of what I mentioned earlier. I want to help as many, I know everyone says this, I want to help as many people, but it's true. I want to keep things simple, keep learning, but make sure I keep it on a simple playing field. But, I'm dabbling. Like I said, Jason Glass is helping me start a podcast, so I'm really excited to do that this year, because writing isn't one of my strong points. So I think doing that would be absolutely amazing. So that's upcoming, and helping people have a solid way to do online training, which it's tough if you don't have a coach that you trust, but maybe there's one far away that you can reach out to and be like, hey, can you check out my form, or can you help me with this? So I'm starting a little bit of golf strength and conditioning online, Felix Fortis Avenue. So that's really exciting. Nice. So that's going to take up a lot of my time this year.
I love it.
Yes.
Kaitlyn, I want to take a moment here just to acknowledge, first, just the great things that you're doing in the world of golf. I mean, your social media presence is incredible. You're constantly putting out great content. And then for everything that you've done for us here at 18 Strong, both coming on the show, obviously, but creating a lot of content and just, it's great to have professionals like you, first of all, where I can also bounce ideas off of, ask questions, because that's, I think, where we all grow. But just your personality and everything that you're doing to put out into the world of golf and teaching golfers, especially female golfers, that, being strong, being happy is really some of the biggest keys to playing this game better and playing for a long time. So just wanted to acknowledge that and thank you for that. This has been one rock star every year, and I have really you to thank for that. So thank you so much for having me on and having me part of 18 Strong. This has been really fun. Absolutely. Do you have one last piece of advice for the audience before we go, and then where's the best way to find you online? Yeah, I just want you guys to know that you are athletes, and we need to train as athletes. So, stay happy, stay strong, and you will play some great golf, I promise. And as far as finding my quirky Instagram and Snapchat, all that stuff, I have an Instagram account that's ksharpgolf. I have a website that the podcast and everything will be funneled through, and that's felixfortisgolf.com. And I also have a YouTube. You could just Google my name and pop up. There's no special name. And Twitter. So, again, K-Sharp Golf. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. And I know that everybody's going to go to the 18 Strong YouTube channel to check out the Kaitlyn Sharpless videos, Coach Sharpless. So everybody out there, thank you for listening, first of all. But head on over to 18strong.com, and you can find Kaitlyn's episode. It's episode number 94. But you can search it for under 18strong.com/Kaitlyn. It'll be up there, or just search for Kaitlyn in the search bar, and you'll find everything, links to her site, her social media, Instagram, all of those, links to the YouTube channel, so you can find some of that stuff. Once again, I want to thank you all for listening and being a part of 18 Strong. We'll catch up with you next week. Train hard, practice smart, play better golf.
Thanks for listening to the 18 Strong podcast at www.18strong.com. And remember, train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.